Afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's Wednesday afternoon update, we will be talking about cold air moving in this weekend with a second push of Arctic air and then a rapid warm up next week. And in between the cold air and the rapid warm up, we have to talk about an ice storm potential in the middle of the country. We'll get to those details later on in today's afternoon update. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below for detailed weather breakdowns across North America and helping me get to 75,000 subscribers by late this month. And you can help me get there simply by subscribing down below and pressing the like button down below. It helps out more than you know. Looking at the visible satellite imagery here this afternoon, you can see the active weather is across the Pacific Northwest and the North Central states, whereas we are quieter across the Southeast and the Deep South with high pressure in firm control. And looking at our geopotential height heading in through the next few days, and this is a good depiction on showing where the core of the cold air is. You can see that's across eastern Canada today. Some of that cold air bleeding south there into the northern states across the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast, with more Pacific air across the Deep South and portions of the southwestern United States today. Going through Thursday, the core of the cold air is up in eastern Canada, so the worst is behind us, but we have another lobe of the polar vortex that will travel southbound into the upper Midwest beginning on Thursday, and then by Friday that drops into the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, and the Northeast with that cold air. It's not going to be as intense as the first round, but we're definitely going to be feeling it Friday and into that Saturday time frame before that lifts up across eastern Canada. So let's look here. First things first, high temperatures this afternoon. We're into the single digits and the teens for highs across the north central states this afternoon. Not as cold certainly as what we've seen the past few afternoons, but still, as you step out the door this afternoon, it is very chilly. Further south, we're into the 30s and the 40s as we go through the day. And tonight, temperatures in that freezing line will drop further south toward the Gulf Coast states. So another chilly night is on tap, but still certainly not as cold as the last few nights. Then as we go into Thursday, again, much like we see today, single digits and teens to the north, 20s, 30s, and 40s further to the south there as we go into your Thursday afternoon. And then here comes that second push of Arctic air on Friday. You can see highs into the single digits further south now into as far south as northern Missouri, west central Illinois, and northeastern portions of Kansas, with that freezing line now dropping further south into North Texas, southern Arkansas, and the Dixie Alley region on Friday afternoon. And by the time we're waking up Saturday morning, there's the core of the cold air for the second round across the upper Midwest, enhanced by our deep snowpack up here across portions of the Midwest. We can see lows dropping into the single digits, if not the teens, below zero for lows on Saturday morning. And look at that, the freezing line going all the way down into central Florida and the Rio Grande Valley for your Saturday morning. So another chilly start to your weekend. And looking at those wind chills, yes, wind chill advisories, if not wind chill warnings again, will be needed across the upper Midwest into the Ohio Valley as we have those 20 to 30 below zero wind chills returning with that second push of cold air going into the start of the weekend. Looking at the current weather conditions this afternoon, we have an active weather pattern here across the United States with a bigger storm across the Pacific Northwest here, bringing snow to Washington State, Oregon, northern Idaho, into western Montana here, and some of that snowfall actually moving eastward into portions of the Rockies at this time. Going into tonight, the lake effect machine in full force. It is starting to back off a little bit with some of those intense snow bands, but we're still seeing some heavier snow. Then we turn our attention to the west. We have a very fast-moving weather system with snow across Montana, western Wyoming into portions of Idaho, and northern Utah in and around the Salt Lake City area tonight. But look at the pattern here. Look at the jet stream across the northern United States. Very fast flow aloft on Thursday into Friday. So a quick moving snow system will be moving up across the Dakotas, northern Nebraska, getting into northwest Iowa, western Minnesota by Thursday. That will be dropping further east into the portions of the Ohio Valley and southern Great Lakes region as soon as Thursday night. Places like Green Bay, Madison, Milwaukee, down into Peoria, Chicago, Indianapolis, Detroit, Toledo. Those areas could start to see more snow as we go into Thursday night. It'll be that light and fluffy snow with the cold air out there. Then that will transfer eastward into the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. Places like Pittsburgh, Charleston, Philadelphia, Trenton, New York City, including Long Island there, Hartford, starting to see snow on Friday, and then that will start to move eastward, and we'll be left with more re-aggravated snow bands with the lake effect snow again starting to get re-aggravated by Friday night across the Great Lakes. Looking at our snowfall accumulation on top of the snowpack we have already, this takes us through Saturday morning on January 20th. The heaviest snow by far will be across portions of southern British Columbia, southern Alberta, Canada, but also across the Pacific Northwest and the northern Rockies. But we'll have that quick moving snow system that will move down into the northern plains, the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast through that Thursday, Friday, and Saturday morning time frame, and we'll be seeing snow there. So starting in the Pacific Northwest, the higher elevations getting a nice dumping of snow, over a foot of snow, possibly 2 feet of snow in some of these higher elevations. Washington State, Oregon, Idaho, especially northern Idaho, getting into western Montana there, western Wyoming, and northern portions of Utah with the heavier snows. Then with that clipper system moving in across the north here, you can expect a good 2 to 4 inches of snow here for portions of the Dakotas, especially South Dakota, getting through southern Minnesota into the Hawkeye State here of Iowa, and then picking back up with a 3 to 6 inch snowfall across portions there of northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, getting into southern lower Michigan, much of the northern Ohio Valley, especially north central Indiana, through Ohio there into West Virginia, and then that will transfer up there into Pennsylvania, seeing snow this time down into Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey as we go through Saturday morning, and then that will lift up across New York State and getting into portions of the Northeast as we go into that Friday night and Saturday morning time frame. Altogether, this will be producing some significant travel impacts, especially near the lakes with the lake effect snow here, but also across the Rockies and the Pacific Northwest. Remember, that's where the heaviest snowfall will reside going through Saturday morning. So we're watching out for that going through the weekend. That's our main weather story. Then the next couple of weather stories into next week, looking at our temperature anomalies. We'll begin next week on Sunday and into Monday with below normal temperatures across the east and above normal temperatures across the west. But watch as we go into the last week in January, a rapid turnaround right behind our polar vortex, and that means temperatures will surge well above normal here as we go in towards next week. So let's look here at those temperatures and preview what they could look like. Starting on Monday, January 22nd. Not too bad out here. A typical January day. We have 20s and 30s further to the north, 40s and some 50s further to the south. Watch that freezing line by Wednesday go all the way to the north. Now, there are some question marks, though, to how far north that freezing line does get. Remember, we have that deep snowpack here sitting across the north central United States, so there is a question of how far north that freezing line goes by the midweek, but I think by Friday, by then, we'll start to melt off some of our snowpack here, and we'll see that 40 and 50 degree line start to move further to the north into at least the lower Ohio Valley, portions of southern Illinois, getting into southern Missouri, and into portions of the central plains by Friday. And yes, you could be seeing 60s and 70s near the southeast coast by your Friday afternoon next week. But in that transition, as we get rid of the Arctic air and move into more milder air, we have above average precipitation to talk about, and quite a bit of it, especially down here into the lower and middle Mississippi Valley through next week, and a concerning trend in some of the model guidance showing by early to midweek, we have the rainfall moving into East Texas as temperatures are warm there, but freezing drizzle, freezing rain, sleet may become an issue across portions of Oklahoma, into southeastern Kansas, southwestern Missouri, and west central Arkansas as soon as the Monday time frame as we cool down Monday night. Notice as that precipitation moves further north, the Illinois Valley getting into Indiana, in through Missouri, in and around the St. Louis region, Peoria, Illinois. We have to keep an eye on that as we go into Friday night with the freezing rain and sleet conditions out there. And then that will transfer further to the north with snow changing over there into the Great Lakes, freezing rain somewhere in between across the Ohio Valley and the Illinois Valley, and then rain further south where the warmer weather, relatively speaking, will be on Tuesday. This is concerning, though, when you have moisture moving up with temperatures into the upper 20s and low 30s on Monday afternoon into this region, because that means it will be frozen precipitation, and then especially Monday night, those temperatures may hover very close to the freezing mark here, and it's all about what those temperature profiles are from the surface and all the way up to around 1,000 feet or more. We'll keep an eye on that, and even on Tuesday, if we do get ice accumulation with this system, it will stick around through the day on Tuesday with temperatures and that freezing line possibly not going too far north there and only getting to the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. So these are early estimates, and this is just early in the game here, but the GFS is spitting out some decent ice accumulation from Indiana and portions of western Ohio through the Illinois Valley, getting down into Missouri, northwestern and western Arkansas, getting through eastern and southeastern Oklahoma and north central Texas through next week. And the GDPS model, the Canadian model guidance, is pretty much in the same ballpark with the placement of that ice accumulation with the potential ice storm sometime early to mid next week. And you can see our total accumulation here in inches. The heaviest of our rains and our precipitation in general will be across the southern U.S. through next week near the Gulf Coast, especially near the Corpus Christi region, Houston, Lake Charles, New Orleans, down into Hattiesburg in the Mobile, Alabama region as we go through next week. And that's the very area across Dixie Alley and the lower Mississippi Valley through that last week in January where the heaviest of our precipitation and our rains will be as we go into that time frame, with that slight risk for excessive rainfall lifting all the way up into as far north as Kentucky. So we'll keep an eye on that as we go deeper into next week. I just wanted to update you folks on what is coming down the ballpark here. We have potentially an ice storm next week. We have a rapid warm up thereafter, and then we'll end January on a very mild note, and who knows what we have in store for February, but I will keep you covered right here on this channel. Make sure to subscribe to the channel down below, especially if you like detailed weather breakdowns across North America. Press the like button down below. It helps out more than you know. Share this video with friends, family, and on social media, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their Wednesday out there.